We've all heard the saying, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. When you're a kid, it's cute. Your little sister wants your haircut. Your friend wants the same backpack. But what happens when that imitation doesn't stop? When it grows and twists and becomes something darker? Something possessive. You think your friends are your sanctuary, the people who know the real you. But what if one of them doesn't just want to know you? What if they want to be you? They study your laugh, they mirror your style, they latch onto your dreams as if they were their own. At first, it feels like a compliment, a bond, until you realize you're not in a friendship anymore. You're in a competition where you didn't know you were running. And the prize is your very identity. This is the story of my best friend, Chloe. We were inseparable for 10 years. I told her everything. I trusted her with my life. But I didn't realize that for her, our friendship wasn't about connection. It was about collection. And I was the final piece she needed to complete her set. I met Chloe in college. I was shy, a little awkward, trying to find my place in the world. She was magnetic, confident, funny, and incredibly persuasive. She gravitated toward me, and I was flattered. She became the social director of my life, and I was happy to follow. Our friendship was intense. We spent every day together. We had the same hobbies. We liked the same music. We finished each other's sentences. People called us twins. I loved it. I finally felt seen. But the first red flag was so small, I almost missed it. I bought a specific brand of coffee creamer, a vanilla hazelnut blend. The next week, Chloe had the exact same one in her fridge. "Great minds," she said with a laugh. I agreed. Then it was the perfume I wore. Suddenly, she wore it too. The obscure indie band I'd been into for years became her new favorite. She started using my phrases, my mannerisms. She'd tell stories from my life, but with herself inserted in my place. I'd say, "Oh, that reminds me of when I went to Paris and got lost near the Louvre." She'd say, "Oh my God, yes. That's just like when I was in Paris and got lost near the Louvre. It was so crazy." Except she'd never been to Paris. I'd brush it off. She was just enthusiastic. She admired me. It was still flattering. After college, we moved to the same city. The copying escalated. I got a job as a junior graphic designer at a cool firm. Chloe, who had studied marketing, suddenly decided she was passionate about design. She applied to my company. She didn't get the job, but the attempt felt invasive. I started dating a guy named Mark. He was kind, funny, and we clicked instantly. I introduced him to Chloe. She was overly nice, interrogating him with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. A month later, she started dating a guy who looked strikingly similar to Mark. Same hair color, same build, same career. She even convinced him to get the same style of glasses. That's when the flattery began to curdle into unease. It wasn't admiration anymore. It was appropriation. The argument started, small at first. "Chloe, could you not buy the exact same dress I just got?" I'd ask, trying to sound light. "What, we can't have similar taste?" she'd reply, her voice sharp. "It's not all about you, you know." I was the one being unreasonable. I was the jealous friend. She'd gaslight me so expertly I'd end up apologizing. The final straw of the building phase happened on my birthday. My gift from Mark was a beautiful, delicate silver necklace with a small, unique pendant shaped like a fern leaf. It was one of a kind. I loved it. The next time I saw Chloe, she was wearing it. The exact same necklace. My heart stopped. "Where did you get that?" I asked, my voice trembling. This, Mark got it for me, she said, smiling sweetly. He said he saw it and thought of me. I confronted Mark, furious. He was bewildered. He showed me the receipt, the box. He had given it to me. I called Chloe, my voice shaking with anger. Why would you lie? Why do you have my necklace? There was a long silence on the other end. When she spoke, her voice was cold, flat, completely different from her usual bubbly tone. It's not your necklace, she said. It's mine. Everything you have is mine. You just don't know it yet. She hung up. I stood there, holding the phone, a cold terror slithering down my spine. The mask had finally slipped. After the necklace incident, Chloe didn't apologize. She simply shifted. The copying stopped. Instead, she began a campaign of subtle sabotage. It was like she'd decided that if she couldn't be me, she would break me. I'd show up for an important meeting to find my client had received an email from me the night before, canceling it. The writing style was perfect, sent from a fake email address 1 letter off from mine. My social media accounts would get reported for fake violations. My credit card had strange, small charges from websites I'd never visited. I knew it was her. I felt it in my gut. But I had no proof. She was a ghost in the machine, whispering doubts into my life, eroding my stability. I became paranoid. I jumped at every notification. I changed my passwords, my emails, my phone number. I told my friends what was happening. Some believed me. Others thought I was having a breakdown, that I was jealous of Chloe's success. She was always so sweet, so concerned about me to their faces. I'm so worried about her, she'd tell them. She's been so paranoid lately. She thinks I'm out to get her. The climax came on a night I was home alone. Mark was out of town. A storm was raging outside, wind and rain lashing the windows. I was on edge, jumping at every creak of the old house. I got a text from an unknown number. It was a picture. A slightly blurry, dark photo taken through a window. It was a photo of me in my living room from about an hour earlier. I was wearing my favorite gray sweater and reading a book. The text underneath read, "You look so peaceful in that sweater. I have one just like it." Pure, undiluted terror flooded my system. She was outside. She was watching me. Right now. I ran to the front door and deadbolted it. I checked the back door. Locked. I closed all the blinds, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the cords. My phone buzzed again. Another text. "You don't have to hide. I just want to talk. I just want to be close." Then another. A video this time. It was a close-up video of the outside of my bedroom window, panning slowly down to the lock. A hand, wearing a black glove, reached into the frame and jiggled the latch. It was old and didn't always catch properly. The video showed it was unlocked. The accompanying text, "You really should be more careful about locking up. You never know who might want to come in." She wasn't just outside. She had tested my windows. She knew a way in. I called 911, my voice a hysterical whisper. "Someone is outside my house. They're trying to get in. Please send someone. Please." I hid in the walk-in closet in my bedroom, clutching my phone, listening. Over the sound of the storm, I heard it. A faint scraping at the back of the house. Then a click. The sound of a window being slid open. She was inside. I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. They walked through the kitchen, into the living room. They were coming down the hallway, toward my bedroom. I held my breath, tears streaming silently down my face. The footsteps stopped outside my bedroom door. The doorknob turned. Slowly. The door was locked. I heard a soft, sighing laugh from the other side. It was Chloe's voice, but stripped of all its warmth. It was a cold, dead sound. "I know you're in there," she sang softly. "It's okay. I just want to see your room. I want to see where you sleep. I want it to feel like mine." I heard her move away from the door. I heard her opening my drawers, rifling through my things. I heard the closet door in the hallway open. She was getting closer. Then, blessed relief, the wail of a siren in the distance, growing rapidly closer. Red and blue lights flashed through the cracks in the closet door. I heard a sharp intake of breath from the other room. A curse. Quick, frantic footsteps moving back toward the kitchen. The sound of the window sliding shut. I stayed in the closet until the police knocked on the front door. They found nothing. The window in the kitchen was unlocked, but there were no fingerprints. There were faint, wet footprints on the floor, but they led to the back door and vanished. They took my statement. I showed them the texts, the video. They traced the number to a disposable burner phone. They said they'd look into it, but their faces were skeptical. It was a he said, she said, between two friends. A domestic dispute. But I knew. The invasion was complete. She had been in my home. She had touched my things. She had wanted my life so badly she was willing to break in and take it by force. I moved. I didn't tell anyone where I was going except my family and Mark. I got a restraining order, but it felt like a piece of paper against the force of her obsession. It's been 2 years. I still look over my shoulder. I still get phantom texts from unknown numbers that make my heart stop. I heard through the grapevine that Chloe is doing well. She has a new group of friends. She has a job in design now. She's dating a guy who, from the pictures I've seen, looks exactly like Mark. She found a new me. I learned a terrible lesson about friendship, that the strongest bonds can sometimes be the most dangerous, that trust can be weaponized. A friend knows your passwords, your routines, your fears. They know what kind of coffee you drink and what necklace you want, and which window in your house doesn't lock properly. A true friend protects that knowledge. A toxic one uses it as a blueprint. So if you have a friend who mirrors your every move, who seems to love your life a little too much, be careful. Be very careful. Because sometimes the most terrifying monster isn't under your bed. It's the one who knows exactly where you sleep. When you're a kid, a promise is the most powerful magic in the world. Across your heart, hope to die pact is binding. It's sacred. You believe that breaking it will bring down a curse worse than any punishment a parent could devise. Most of us grow out of it. We realize those childhood vows are just words. But what if the magic was real? What if the universe, or something in it, was listening? And what if the curse for breaking that promise wasn't just guilt, but something tangible? Something that would follow you out of childhood and into your adult life, demanding payment for a debt you forgot you owed. This is a story about a promise, a friendship pact made between 3 11-year-old girls on a summer night that smelled of cut grass and possibility. We called ourselves the Triple Stars. We swore we'd be friends forever. We swore no secret would ever come between us. And we sealed it with a rhyme we found in an old book, a rhyme we thought was just a game. We were wrong. The game was real. and forever is a much, much longer time than three little girls could ever have imagined. Her name was Alara. She moved into the old Victorian house on the corner of my street the summer I turned 11. She was pale, with eyes the color of a stormy sea, and hair so black it seemed to swallow the light. She was quiet, mysterious, and to me and my best friend Lily, she was the most fascinating person we had ever met. We became inseparable, the three of us. Where I was loud and Lily was practical, Alara was our poet, our artist, our guide into a world of strange and wonderful ideas. She claimed her house was haunted, that her grandmother was a witch, that she could read futures in the patterns of tea leaves. We believed every word. It was Alara who found the book. It was tucked away in a cobweb-covered trunk in her attic, bound in cracked, dark leather with no title. Inside, the pages were filled with spidery handwriting and strange illustrations. And on one page, circled in what looked like faded red ink, was a rhyme. The Bond of Three, it was called. It's a friendship spell, Alara whispered, her eyes wide and serious in the dim attic light. If we say it under a full moon, we'll be bound together forever. Nothing will ever break us apart. Lily, ever the skeptic, shrugged. Sounds dumb, but I'm in. I was hesitant. There was something about the rhyme, about the book, that felt cold. But the fear of being left out, of breaking the magic of our trio, was stronger. I agreed. That night, under a swollen silver full moon, we stood in a circle in Alara's backyard. We held hands. Our hearts were pounding with a mixture of excitement and genuine fear. We recited the words from the book, our young voices trembling. Starlight, star bright, under the moon's pale light. Three hearts now beat as one, until our days are done. No secret kept, no truth denied. Forever in this bond we'll bide. Should one break faith and try to flee, the debt is paid by all of three. As we spoke the final word, a wind swept through the yard, though the trees had been still moments before. It was icy cold. The three of us gasped and dropped each other's hands. We laughed nervously, blaming it on a coincidence. But the air felt different, charged. For the rest of that summer, it was magic. We had a connection that felt supernatural. We'd know what the others were thinking. We'd show up wearing the same color. We'd all get the same song stuck in our heads at the same time. We were the triple stars, and we were invincible. But summer ended, school started, and the real world began to intrude on our magic. Lily made the soccer team and started spending more time with her new teammates. I got cast in the school play. Alara, however, remained as intense as ever. She didn't make other friends. She wanted us to spend every afternoon together, just the three of us, like before. She became possessive. If Lily and I had an inside joke from soccer practice, Alara's face would darken. "Secrets break the bond," she'd say, her voice flat, quoting the rhyme. It stopped being cute and started being creepy. The final straw was a school dance. Lily and I were going with a group of friends. Alara wasn't invited. She found out and confronted us by our lockers. "You're breaking the pact," she said, her voice low and shaking with anger. "You're leaving me out. You're keeping secrets." "Alara, it's just a dance," Lily said, exasperated. "It's not a big deal. The pact was just a stupid game." The moment the words left her mouth, Alara's face went white. Then a strange, calm mask slipped over her features. "It wasn't a game," she said softly. "The debt is paid by all of three." She turned and walked away. She didn't speak to us for a week. We were relieved. We were kids, and we wanted to move on. We thought it was over. We were wrong. The strange things started small. Lily's soccer ball would deflate mysteriously in the middle of a game. The script for the school play would go missing from my locker, only to reappear later, covered in strange, scribbled symbols. We'd get phone calls where no one was on the other end, just the sound of ragged breathing. We blamed it on Alara. She was trying to scare us. It was working, but we were determined to ignore her. We were moving on. Then, the accident started. Lily was walking downstairs at school, her hands full of books, when she suddenly lost her balance and fell. She broke her arm in 2 places. She swore someone had pushed her, but there was no one behind her. A week later, I was riding my bike home when the brakes failed completely. I swerved into traffic, narrowly avoiding a truck. At the bike shop, the mechanic was baffled. "The brake line didn't just fail," he said. "It looks like it was chewed through." We were being hunted by bad luck. It felt like a shadow had fallen over our lives. And through it all, Alara would watch us. In the cafeteria, in the hallways, she'd just stare with those stormy eyes, a faint, knowing smile on her lips. She never said a word. The climax happened the night of the school dance. Lily's parents had forbidden her from going because of her caste. I went alone. My nerves still jangled from the bike incident. The gym was decorated, music was pounding, but I couldn't shake a feeling of dread. I saw her across the room. Alara. She was standing in a corner, shrouded in shadow, not dancing, just watching. She was wearing a dress I recognized. It was my dress, the one I'd told her I was going to wear weeks ago. She was copying me again, but it was a grotesque parody. I had to get out of there. I felt sick. I pushed through the crowd and out into the cool night air, heading for the parking lot to call my mom for a ride. That's when I heard it, a voice whispering from the dark between 2 buildings. "Shh! Over here." It was Lily's voice. "Lily?" I called, peering into the darkness. "What are you doing here?" I snuck out. "Come here, quick. I have to show you something." It sounded like her, but off, slurred. I took a hesitant step into the alley. It was pitch black. "Lily, this isn't funny." "The pact is broken," the voice whispered, and this time it wasn't just Lily's. It was layered with another voice, a dry, rasping, ancient sound. "The debt must be paid." A figure stepped out of the shadows. It was Alara, but her eyes were completely black, and she was smiling a smile that was too wide, too full of teeth. "You tried to leave," she said, and her voice was that horrible layered thing, her own and the ancient rasp. "You broke the bond. Now something else gets to hold it." I tried to run, but my feet were frozen to the pavement. I was paralyzed with a terror I had never known. Alara raised a hand and pointed at me. "The debt is paid by all of 3. It starts with her." At that moment, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Lily's mom. I looked down, my eyes tearing up with fear, and read it. "Lily was in an accident at home. She fell down the stairs. It's bad. Come to the hospital now." I looked up at Alara, my breath catching in a sob. "What did you do?" The thing wearing Alara's face just smiled its terrible smile. "I didn't do anything. The pact did. The magic always collects its debt. She was first." It turned its black eyes toward me. "You're next." The paralysis broke. I screamed and ran. I ran all the way to the hospital, tears streaming down my face. Lily was in intensive care. She had a severe concussion and spinal damage. The doctors said it was a miracle she wasn't paralyzed. She had no memory of the fall She said she'd been in her room, and then she was at the top of the stairs, and then… nothing. I knew. I knew it was the pact. The debt was being paid. Lily recovered, slowly. But she was never quite the same. She was fragile, anxious. We never spoke about the pact, about Alara. It was too terrifying. Alara's family moved away a month later. Rumor was there had been some kind of incident, something about a fire in the attic. The book was gone. I thought it was over. The curse was broken. But you can't break a pact that's been sealed by something older and darker than yourself. You can only outrun it. It's been 20 years. Lily lives on the other side of the country. We don't talk. The bond is well and truly broken. But sometimes I feel it. A wave of cold on a warm day. A shadow that moves just wrong in the corner of my eye. A phone call in the middle of the night where no one speaks, but I can hear that same ragged, ancient breathing. I live a quiet life. I avoid close friendships. I never make promises, because I know that forever is a real thing. And the debt collector for broken childhood vows is always listening. So be careful what you promise. Be careful the games you play. Because the magic of childhood is real. It's just not pure. It's ancient, and it's hungry. And it doesn't understand the difference between a cross-your-heart hope to die and a legally binding contract. It just knows that a debt is owed. And it will always collect. Her name was Alara. She moved into the old Victorian house on the corner of my street the summer I turned 11. She was pale, with eyes the color of a stormy sea, and hair so black it seemed to swallow the light. She was quiet, mysterious, and to me and my best friend Lily, she was the most fascinating person we had ever met. We became inseparable, the three of us. Where I was loud and Lily was practical, Alara was our poet, our artist, our guide into a world of strange and wonderful ideas. She claimed her house was haunted, that her grandmother was a witch, that she could read futures in the patterns of tea leaves. We believed every word. It was Alara who found the book. It was tucked away in a cobweb-covered trunk in her attic, bound in cracked, dark leather with no title. Inside, the pages were filled with spidery handwriting and strange illustrations. And on one page, circled in what looked like faded red ink, was a rhyme. The Bond of Three, it was called. It's a friendship spell, Alara whispered, her eyes wide and serious in the dim attic light. If we say it under a full moon, we'll be bound together forever. Nothing will ever break us apart. Lily, ever the skeptic, shrugged. Sounds dumb, but I'm in. I was hesitant. There was something about the rhyme, about the book, that felt cold. But the fear of being left out, of breaking the magic of our trio, was stronger. I agreed. That night, under a swollen silver full moon, we stood in a circle in Alara's backyard. We held hands. Our hearts were pounding with a mixture of excitement and genuine fear. We recited the words from the book, our young voices trembling. Starlight, star bright, under the moon's pale light. 3 hearts now beat as one, until our days are done. No secret kept, no truth denied. Forever in this bond we'll bide. Should one break faith and try to flee, the debt is paid by all of 3. As we spoke the final word, a wind swept through the yard, though the trees had been still moments before. It was icy cold. The 3 of us gasped and dropped each other's hands. We laughed nervously, blaming it on a coincidence. But the air felt different, charged. Have you ever received a gift that was just too perfect? Something that seemed to understand a desire you never even spoke out loud? It feels magical, like fate itself delivered it to your doorstep. We're taught to be grateful, to cherish the generosity of our friends. But what if the gift isn't generous? What if it's a transaction? A beautiful, gilded cage with a hidden keyhole? And what if the price of accepting it isn't money, but a piece of your freedom, your identity, your very reflection? This is a story about my friend, Anya, and the most beautiful, most terrible gift I have ever received. It was a handcrafted, antique mirror. She said it was a token of our friendship, a symbol of how she saw me. I believed her. I hung it in my home and admired myself in it every day. I didn't realize I wasn't just admiring my reflection. I was feeding it. And one day, it got hungry for more than just admiration. Anya was more than a friend. She was a patron saint of lost causes. And when I met her, I was certainly lost. I'd just gone through a brutal breakup and had to move into a small, dim apartment that felt more like a storage unit than a home. I was depressed, feeling invisible and anchorless. Anya, who I knew from a painting class, became my anchor. She was everything I wasn't: confident, put together, and incredibly wealthy. She'd show up with expensive takeout, drag me to galleries, and listen to me cry over cheap wine. She was relentless in her mission to fix me. "You need to see what I see," she'd say, cupping my face. "You're not a ghost. You're a goddess. You just need the right frame." The framing began subtly. She'd gift me her old clothes, which were designer and miles out of my budget. Then it was a new haircut, paid for by her. She'd redecorate my apartment while I was at work, saying, "You just need a woman's touch, darling. This place is so beige." I was so grateful for the attention I let her. I was clay, and she was the sculptor. The mirror was her masterpiece. She brought it over one rainy Tuesday, shrouded in a black velvet cloth. It was heavy, ornately carved from what looked like dark mahogany. The frame was intricate, swirling with designs that looked like twisting vines, and, the longer I looked, almost like grasping hands. "I saw this at an estate sale, and I had to get it for you," she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "It's you. It's strong. It's classic. It has history. Now you'll have a proper mirror to see the new you." I pulled off the cloth. The glass was impossibly clear, a perfect silver-black pool that seemed deeper than the wall it hung on. My reflection was stunning. The lighting in my dingy apartment seemed to bend to flatter me. My skin looked clearer, my eyes brighter, my posture straighter. It was, without a doubt, the most beautiful thing I owned. "Anya, I can't accept this," I breathed, already in love with it. "Nonsense," she said, waving a hand. "It's already yours. Just promise me you'll use it every day. Look into it and see my best friend I promised." And I kept that promise. I'd stand before it for minutes, then hours, preening, practicing smiles, trying on the clothes Anya gave me. The reflection was always perfect. It was addictive. But the changes in the apartment started soon after. The air grew perpetually cold. The light bulbs would flicker whenever I walked past the mirror. I started finding fine, almost invisible strands of long black hair on my clothes and pillows, a color neither Anya nor I possessed. The most unsettling thing was the reflection itself. It began to lag. I'd turn my head, and my reflection would turn a half-second later, a faint, sly smile on its face that I knew hadn't been on mine. I'd blink, and it would be normal again. I wrote it off as stress, sleep deprivation. I began to feel tired all the time, drained. My friend said I looked pale, but in the mirror, I looked radiant. I was pouring my energy into it, and it was giving me back a beautiful lie. The final straw came when my friend Leo was over. We were laughing on the couch when he suddenly stopped, staring past me at the mirror on the wall. His face went pale. "What?" I asked. "Nothing," he said, shaking his head. "For a second, I thought I saw someone standing behind you in the reflection. A woman with long black hair. She was smiling. My blood ran cold. I looked. The reflection showed only an empty room. "It's just a trick of the light," I said, my voice trembling. But I knew it wasn't. I called Anya that night, my nerves frayed. "The mirror. It's weirding me out, Anya. I think I want to give it back." The silence on the other end was icy. When she spoke, her voice was clipped and cold, all the warmth gone. "That's not how gifts work. You accepted it. You promised to use it. A promise is a promise. It's part of the apartment now. It's part of you now." She hung up. The line went dead. And in the silence of my apartment, I heard a faint, soft sound from the living room. A sound like fingernails gently dragging across glass. After that call, Anya vanished. Her number was disconnected. Her social media was deleted. It was as if she'd never existed. But her gift remained. The mirror's hunger grew. The lag in reflection was now a constant. It would mimic my movements with a lazy, mocking delay. Sometimes, it would mouth words I wasn't saying. I started covering it with the velvet cloth, but I'd wake up to find the cloth on the floor, the glass gleaming in the moonlight. The draining sensation intensified. I was sleeping 12 hours a night and waking up exhausted. I lost weight. Dark circles bloomed under my eyes, though the reflection in the mirror continued to show a vibrant, healthy woman. Then, one night, I saw her. I was stumbling to the kitchen for water, avoiding looking at the mirror when a movement caught my eye. I froze. My reflection was standing there, but it wasn't mimicking me. It was standing perfectly still, staring back at me with a placid, curious expression. And it was wrong. Its eyes were a shade darker than mine. Its hair was longer, and it was smiling a small, possessive smile. I screamed and scrambled back into my bedroom, locking the door. I spent the night huddled under my blankets, listening. I heard it. Soft, shuffling footsteps in the living room. Not echoes of my own. Their own footsteps. The next morning, the apartment was freezing. I crept out to find the mirror uncovered, and my reflection was gone. The glass showed an empty room behind it. My heart hammered against my ribs. I took a step closer, my breath fogging in the cold air. And then she stepped into the frame. She was my height, my build, wearing my clothes. But her skin had a grayish pallor. Her black hair was long and lank, and her eyes were solid, glossy black orbs. She tilted her head, studying me with the intensity of a predator. She raised a hand and pressed it against the glass from her side. The surface rippled like water. I stumbled backward, tripping over the rug and falling hard. I watched in utter terror as the thing, the mimic, began to push its way through the rippling surface of the glass. First a hand, skeletal and gray, gripping the frame. Then an arm. Then the crown of its head, that long black hair spilling into my world. It was trying to cross over. It was trying to take my place. I didn't think. I acted on pure animal instinct. I grabbed the nearest heavy object, a cast iron bookend, and lunged at the mirror. I screamed, a raw, primal sound, and swung with all my might. The glass didn't shatter. It screamed. A high, piercing, agonized shriek that felt like it was tearing through my mind. The bookend hit the surface, and it bent, distorting like rubber before throwing me backward with a violent, unseen force. I hit the wall and slid down, dazed. The screaming stopped. The thing was gone. The mirror was just a mirror again, showing my terrified, pale face, and the glass was now completely, solidly opaque. A flat, silver-black sheet of metal. It was no longer a window. It was a sealed door, scratched into the now metallic surface, as if by a frantic fingernail, was a single word. M-I-N-E. I moved out that very day. I left everything. The furniture, the clothes Anya gave me, all of it. I only took the clothes on my back. I couldn't risk taking anything that she had touched, that it had touched. I tried to find Anya. I hired a private investigator. He found nothing. The estate sale she mentioned didn't exist. Her name led to a series of dead ends. The investigator believed she was a ghost, a professional con artist with a new identity. But I know the truth. Anya wasn't just a person. She was a collector, or a delivery system. She found broken people and gifted them cursed objects. She fed them, and the mirror wasn't a gift. It was a parasite, a vampire that fed on vanity and insecurity until it was strong enough to try and claim the source. I live in a house with no mirrors now. I use a small plastic compact to put on my makeup, and I keep it locked in a drawer. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I wake up feeling a cold spot next to me in bed. I'll feel a faint pull, a draining sensation, and I'll know it's still there. In that sealed mirror, in that empty apartment. It's trapped, for now. But it's still hungry, and it still thinks I'm mine. So the next time a friend offers you a gift that seems too perfect, too personal, ask yourself why. Ask yourself what they really see in you. And ask yourself what you might be expected to give in return. Because some gifts aren't given. They're planted. And the harvest is everything you are.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Echoes of Fear Tales for more chilling narratives. Stay tuned. Another haunting tale awaits you. Thank you for listening.